Rivers by
G.
Cat.
Insa.
So what are rivers? Rivers are bodies of water that have energy and do work.
A river starts at the source and ends at the mouth, and this consists of upper, middle, and lower course.
At the upper course, erosion occurs, and the valley is V-shaped with steep sides and a narrow, shallow channel. At the middle course, both deposition and erosion occurs. The valley sides are gently sloped with wider, deeper channel. At the lower course, deposition occurs, and the valley is very wide and flat, with very wide, deep channel.
Processes of erosion. Hydraulic action is when the water knocks off particles off the bed and the banks of the river. Abrasion or corrosion is when sand and stones carried by the river rub against the bank and the bed and knock off other particles. Attrition is when boulders and large stones carried by the river collide with each other and break up into smaller pieces. Corrosion or solution is when acids in the river dissolve the rocks that make up the bank and the bed.
4 types of transportation. Traction is when large particles like boulders are pushed along the river bed by the force of the water. Suspension is when small particles like sleet and clay are carried along by the water. Siltation is when pebble-sized particles are bounced along the river bed by the force of the water. Solution is when solid materials dissolve in the water and are carried along the river bed by the force of the water. Erosion causes the banks to get closer, and eventually the river wrecks the land and flow. The river flows along the shortest course, and deposition cuts off the meander, creating an oxbow lake.
Deposition is when river slows down and drops eroded materials into the sea or lake.
Levees. During a flood, eroded material is deposited over the whole floodplain. The heaviest material is deposited closest to the river channel because it gets dropped first when the river slows down. Over time, the deposited material builds up and creates levee along the edges of the channel.
Flooding. Physical factors. Prolonged rainfall can cause flooding. Long periods of rain make the soil saturated and increase the runoff into rivers. This increases the discharge quickly, causing floods. Snow melts. When large amount of snow or ice melts into the river in a short time, it increases discharge quickly, which can cause flood. Human factors. Deforestation. Trees intercept rainwater on their leaves, then it evaporates. Also, it takes up water and stores it. It means cutting down trees increases the volume of water that reaches the river channel, which increases discharge and makes flooding. Building construction. Impermeable concrete buildings surrounded by roads made from impermeable materials increase runoff and drains quickly take runoff to rivers. This increases discharge quickly, which can cause a flood.
Hard engineering is to control or change the river's form to control flood. One option is to increase the capacity of the river channel by building man-made levees. The second option is to straighten and line the river channel to increase the speed of the river and remove excess water more quickly.
Problems caused by hard engineering. First, channels need regular dredging to remove deposition and stop the channel size decreasing. Second, increased channel speed causes increased flooding and erosion problems downstream. Third, the engineering often looks ugly and affects the natural river ecosystem. Fourth, if a dam, levee, or cut-through breaks, there could be a very big and sudden disaster.
Soft engineering is for more sustainable flood controlling, and it works by using natural drainage basin processes to reduce flooding. Afforestation of bare slopes in the upper reaches reduces runoff as trees intercept the rain. Lag time is longer with less runoff or discharge. Man-made surfaces such as concrete allow rapid runoff. Plants and grass areas can be used instead to reduce flooding in urban areas.
Delta is a landform that forms from deposition of sediment carried by a river as the flow of river slows down at the mouth.
Waterfalls occur at upper course. The softer rock eroded more than the hard rock, and it creates a stab in the river, and eventually a steep drop is created, which is called a waterfall. The hard rock is eventually undercut by erosion, and it collapses.
The rocks are swirled around at the foot of the waterfall, where they erode the softer rock by erosion. This creates a deep plunge pool.
Over time, more undercutting causes more collapses, and the waterfall will retreat, leaving behind a steep-sided gorge.
The softer rocky,